Hey you guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, the weekly podcast dedicated to spirituality and self-improvement. I am so delighted you're here with me today because we have a very special guest. Today we have with us Mr. John Thompson. He is the author of two books, Pete and Gwendolyn Grew Up, and he also has the book How to Write a Novel in 5 Years, A Hero's Journey. He also has his own podcast, The Oddvile Revue, where they talk about all things artistry and the process of creation. And he's also the owner of Adult Storytime Publishing. And so he's here today to talk to us about his journey with writing and how he has struggled with really getting himself to do what he knew he was destined to do. And he's here to encourage all of you to write if that is your calling. And so he's going to talk to us today about his book and his process in writing that. So welcome to the show today, John.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Melissa. So good to be. I've been looking forward to this for a while now.
Yeah, I have to
Excited.
give the audience a little backstory too, because I think it's really interesting. So I actually met you in person. We met several years ago. My
Yeah,
sister and I
little
had
over
done
two.
yeah, we did a girls' trip to Fort Lauderdale, and we just happened to meet up like in a bar just talking. And I mentioned I was a writer, you mentioned you were a writer. So we kind of made that connection and kept in contact. And then you reached out to me and said, you had written your book. And I'm like, oh, that's so great because I think we had that in common. And so I'm really excited to have you here to talk about the book. So tell us a little bit about your book and, you know, how did you really write this? Because I know it was kind of a struggle at first. I know that. And I get that, the procrastination piece of knowing that you're supposed to be doing this, but not really sitting down and doing it. So you have quite a story about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So my novel and the kind of memoir about the process of writing that novel really play hand in hand. Um, but a little over 5 years ago, I got the idea to write Pete and Gwendolyn Grew Up, which started as a novel, and actually about a few months after we met each other in Florida, like I had reached that about 80,000 word mark. Like that's was just kind of the goal in my mind. Like that's about as much as people can handle for one novel. So once I got to about 90 and realized that this story, which had a 50-year arc to it, like these children who are growing up, obviously Pete and Gwendolyn grew up, like they hadn't even made it through high school at 90,000 words. And I had kind of skipped around, like it was not even readable. Like even 3 years ago, like maybe like the first two chapters would be something that I'd be willing to share with somebody, but it still felt like I was almost done the whole time. So at that point, took a breath and realized, it's a three novel process. So fast forward to about a year and a half or a year or so, and hit another hit another checkpoint. Like I think it was like I was actually pushing for the deadline that I made in my mind really, really hard, and like writing more efficiently than I ever had. Just going hard all day, just like stopping to sleep and eat and go to work and then hit it again. Like nobody set this goal. I didn't have a publisher like breathing down my neck to get there. If I don't push myself, then nobody will. So I just had to stick to it. And then after all this work, I'm almost done. And I take a nap, I wake up, my computer screen is just blue. Like everything that I had written, like I didn't lose everything, but everything that I had wrote over that past week was just gone.
No,
So yeah,
your worst
it
nightmare.
was, yeah, super worst nightmare. It was devastating. But it took, but like, again, it was just part of the universe's process. Like the story needed its time to develop, and like me refusing the call was just like part of that. Like everything just happens in its time. But like I was already kind of resisting breaking it down to short story mode or a short story form, because throughout the journey you meet a lot of different characters that have one-offs and origins of their own. But I still wanted to just be able to say that I wrote this one novel, because like that's what I set out to do. So I wouldn't let it go. And then like just kind of made me let it go. And then I started chopping it down to an episodic form. Kind of because I grew up a TV kid, and like I kind of want to make it for like my audience is kind of non-readers, which is a very big task to take on if you want to sell books. But you just have to make the art for yourself. And I love to read, but my attention span just doesn't allow it all the time. So this is short and episodic. But yeah, it took a long time to get to that point of discipline. Like it's been a 5-year journey since I started, and I had very grandiose ideas of what it was like to write a novel. Like I know you've written at least one, two. How many books have you written?
I have one, and my second one I'm in the
Oh
process
yeah.
of writing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in the process of your second book.
Yeah.
And like if somebody like what would you say if somebody who's never written a book said, I'm gonna do it in a year? How would you respond to that?
I would say, well, that's a lofty goal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
But like yeah, I needed that to get me going. Like if I had known it was going to take me 5 years to publish my first work, I probably would have done something else. But yeah, it got me in the game and I kept going. And over those 5 years, it was such a growth process, and I learned so much. But like it took a lot of time to develop the practice of writing, because I didn't have one. Like I thought about writing a lot, and like I've had a dream and a goal to be a writer since I was in the 4th grade. Like I remember my first couple of assignments, and you'll hear about those in How to Write a Novel in 5 Years. I kind of go over the times that I got close to writing, the times that I avoided it, and everything that I did instead of writing up until the point that I made a decision to be an author and just like pursue it with all my heart and like relentlessly. And even after that point, it took a while, like probably not until I'd say honestly, maybe a year and a half ago. So probably year 3.5, year 4, that I actually like have a disciplined daily practice of writing. And like, that's what it takes. And it's like, I think you could probably write something close to a novel in a year if you come into it with that kind of practice and you have the time. You can just devote a couple hours to it every day and not judge your process and just get to it. But it takes time to get there.
And what do you think is probably one of the most important things when it comes to being a writer? It is the consistency of making sure that if there's somebody out there listening who says, well, I've always thought about becoming a writer, I've always wanted to write a novel. What's the most important thing for somebody who's sitting out there listening that wants to get started? What do you think is the most important thing for them to know?
Well, you just have to start. You just have to make an intention to do it, and start as small as you need to. I started big and got very little done my first year. Like at the end of a year, I had the first act of the first episode done, but it still felt like I was close. But even 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. Before I started the novel, I set a goal to write in my journal for every day for a month at least. Yeah, just scribble down. Even if you have an idea, if you've been batting around that idea for a novel in your mind for a long time, you can start there, or just kind of info dump your brain out. Just get a practice of doing that. Don't have to get anywhere. Like that, even that alone will just feel better. Even if you don't have a desire to write a novel, I couldn't recommend enough to anybody to just write every day, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is. And you have to start there. And it's just cliche advice, but anybody that's ever done anything will tell you, just how do I become a novel? How do I write a novel? Just just start writing.
Just do it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's true though,
yeah,
because when you start and you sit down and you just write a little bit every day, it's amazing and surprising how much will actually come to you.
yeah, yeah. And even if you're just info dumping, like you might get a little, you info dump for 2 pages, you might get this one sentence that's a gem or something that really resonates to you, and you can kind of think about it, ponder on it, and even if you don't go back to it, like it's there, and like it's just something you don't have to carry with you anymore.
That's true. I think a lot of people, when they sit down to write, maybe overthink sometimes, and that's why you get that what a lot of people refer to as writer's block. And
Yeah,
I think that's where the free writing comes in, and it's so important because if you just get into the habit of doing it, then it kind of takes that pressure off of you, I think,
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, totally. And just the concept of drafting, be it your actual project or your thoughts in your journal, but not like, don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about grammar, punctuation. Just get it out there because you're going to edit it anyways. Like it's not going to look anything like that in the finished product. So you really don't have anything to worry about. And I think that once you figure that out, and it still took me a long time to figure that out, but once you get that in your mind, like it doesn't matter, it's just a draft, then you're a lot more free in your creativity, and you can
Yeah.
just kind of rip it and just let it out there.
Yeah,
And
I
nobody
think
has to
people
know that.
worry that I think that's that fear, right? A lot of people, you overthink like, oh, my grammar isn't, very good. I don't know this. I don't know that. That's why you pay editors to go in and look at
Yeah,
your work and catch all of that.
yeah,
You don't have to worry about that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. My editor makes my life so much easier. Like it's so like liberating when I'm trying to figure out this sentence doesn't really flow right. It's like, whatever, Rob will fix it. Like
Yeah, there are people who do that. Well, tell us more about your book because you wrote this book, How to Write a Novel in 5 Years, A Hero's Journey. So I'm really curious, this hero's journey, why do you refer to a hero's journey when you talk about writing a book in 5 years?
well, I've I'm a big fan of Joseph Campbell and all of his works, and he kind of coined this storytelling method called the hero's journey. And it's it's a circular format. There's 16 steps to it, and I won't hit all of them, but just like it starts in the ordinary world, and then you get your call to adventure, and then there's this point that where we refuse the call, and that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of like the part that like shapes us and gets us ready for the journey, but like also not a conscious distraction, or like, because it can look like a lot of things. You can just like be procrastinating, you can busy yourself with other things, you can try and take care of all these other loose ends before you start whatever you feel you've been called in your heart to do. And like that, for me it's writing, and I think a lot of people it is writing, but it could be anything. It could be starting a business, um, you know even working on relationships, like your family life, whatever, or starting a hobby, like whatever. Just it's a whatever your bliss may be. Like it's a path to follow, ultimately following your bliss. And you have to go through these stages of development and growth and kind of reckoning with past ghosts and demons and traumas and everything like that. And it just, like, for me personally, like all that stuff just really came to the surface. And like I didn't in my mind, I wasn't getting on a hero's journey. Like it, I kind of came to that realization afterwards, and it was very helpful in navigating through it. And eventually I decided to write my story in that form. And that's something that I kind of rejected for a while too. It's like, oh, that seems like a cool idea, but man, it would be so much work. Like, I don't even know how I'd start to do that. Like what, and I plug, and it's amazing how it, looking back and reflecting through the hero's journey, like it lines up over the last 5 years to these stages, and it just perfectly plugs in. And after the refusal of the call, you'll get your supernatural aid, which could be something spiritual or that you feel from above, or a guide or a mentor, somebody you meet, just like somebody that reminds you that you're on this journey and empowers you with something to keep going. And then you go into the first threshold, which is just like the point of no return, and to where you're in it now, and it's rough, but like there's no going back. And again, I won't go through all of them, but you go into the belly of the whale, and there's atonement with the father, and meeting of the goddess and the temptress. And yeah, there's 16 amazing steps, and they shape you. And like, I feel it's to prepare you for the end, to once you return to the ordinary world and you meld the two worlds that you formed along the way. And that's where the bliss is.
So, in your book, do you talk about your own experience of writing these books, and you meld that with those different stages that you talk about to kind of give someone an example? So, I guess what I'm really asking is if there's somebody out there listening who is thinking about writing, or maybe they're just at the beginning stages and they're looking for something that might really give them some inspiration and some steps for how to really get started in this process, is that something that your book does?
Yeah. Yeah. I just, if I represent anything, or like if I want to instill in anything, like I want the reader to listen to my audiobooks. And what, kind of say, hey, like, if this guy can do it, I can do it. Like, because yeah, it's about writing, but like it's mostly about the process of me learning how to get out of my own way. So kind of like an inspirational, like, uh partner or road trip partner in this journey towards bliss, to be like, yeah, well, he's been through it, or he's going through it, and he still struggles through it. Like, I hope to tell a lot of relatable stories, a lot of personal and vulnerable stories that, like, I haven't shared with many people, but they were formative, definitely, and just relationships gained, relationships lost, um, and just growing through it. And also just like a kind of a heads up that, like, once you get into this journey, like, you might unfurl some things, and like it might get tough at times, but keep going, and like keep going. It's just like, for me personally, it's like, once once I had this dream in my hand, there's nothing I can do to let it go. Like, even right now, like it's like I've passed through that, like, the hero's journeys for me is like over, and perhaps I'm on another one already. But like, the bliss is just having the goal to chase. And like, it gets rough sometimes. Like right now, like I was working, I was bartending full time and writing full time. So I'd be like day bartending. So I'd be up at 4 a.m. To make sure I had time to create, before like the world got to me and bogged down, because it was very mentally draining. Um, my job to keep the lights on, but like that's what I had to do. And maybe up until about a month and a half ago, like now I'm just solely writing. Like, I wasn't ready to make that jump financially, but my mental health was suffering greatly, from the stress of that job and from doing everything. Like, I just overdriven almost, but like I couldn't let the dream go. Like if something had to give, it was going to be that. Like I made a plan for myself in August that it's a sports bar. So like, it's like I gave myself to the Super Bowl to save up enough money to sustain myself while I got enough subscriptions through my website. And then I don't know, about 2 weeks after that, like I just hit this point. Like I was just literally eating anxiety attacks for lunch every day and just kind of like smiling through it and absorbing it. And it was just it was just killing me. I just couldn't do it anymore. So I had to put in my 2 weeks before I was ready financially. So like that just kind of pushed me to this point to where I've been working towards this whole time. So we're just like we're flying, and it's kind of a struggle, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It's like it took me a while to get here, but like I can't quit now. So just like, and I can look back on this journey and of the tough times that I've had on it and times that I've felt alone, down and out, and things didn't go the way I wanted, but like it all ended up working for the better and pushing me to where I was supposed to be. So now it's at the point where it's testing my faith in the journey to like, yeah, we're just flying now. We're just trying not to look down
Yeah.
until we get there.
Yeah, and when we were talking earlier, you mentioned your spirituality kind of grew from this journey. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, so around 5 years ago, I'd probably say, or maybe even 6 years ago, like I grew up in a, I grew up in a very like, very Christian household. Like it was inconsistent at times. But like the structure was always there. And like, and growing up in that, like it's very helpful for a lot of people, but like it was a great source of anxiety for me growing up. Like I was just afraid that even after getting saved or whatever on Sunday, like I was just afraid like I would like die after I sinned or something. Like what if I stub my toe and swear and then like I don't have time to ask for forgiveness? It's like
Right.
so like but like after that, and it's just been lots of different things, but being able to be open and just explore whatever I want. I mean, even just like, and I've just kind of picked up all these things over the course, just like getting into like energy and stones and like reading my chakras and tarot cards. And like I love reading tarot now. Like it reminds me a lot of like Christian devotionals, if you're familiar with those.
Mhm.
Um, but like it's the same concept. Like you go to it when you're looking for something, and if you're looking for something, you're most likely going to find it. So like it's something that resonates with you personally, and it's just you do it in the morning. It kind of gives you something to focus on and stay grounded within, and I don't know, just a reminder that you're connected to something greater, and like you don't really have to define it. But like I study everything, like Buddhism, Stoicism's very helpful. Um, um, I just discovered Abraham Hicks on YouTube, and yeah, we
Actually,
like her.
yes.
Yeah, we love Abraham, definitely. But her voice is so calming. But yeah, it doesn't no, it doesn't have to have a name. There's something there's something greater up there, and to allow that energy to flow through you, which I do it through my art. But it's just yeah, it's been great, and I wouldn't I don't believe that I would have found that peace without this journey. It's like stones. It's like it's a tumbling process. Like it takes you see a piece of quartz. It took many years and lots of tumbling and bad weather to make it shine like it does.
Yeah, I love that
So I think
image.
that
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I think I know in my own writing, think that a lot of the writing I did was kind of channeled through,
Yeah,
something that was not myself, maybe my higher self, I don't know, but it just seemed
yeah,
to me that it would flow in that way. So, yeah, I can see why deepening your spiritual connection is definitely a help when it comes to any kind of art, really, and any kind of
yeah,
creativity.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, sounds cliche, but like I truly like believe that like artists and that we are the vessel, and everybody is an artist. Like it's just art is life. It's in everything. It's in the way you communicate with other people and connect. It's even if it's not an excuse me, even if it's not like a recognized or acknowledged medium, just the way you do the way you do your job, whatever it is, if you just if you make it you, it's art.
Right.
And yeah, and it just the spirit just is allowed to move through you and just moving positive energy. The chipper lady at Target who's really excited about the deals, like almost more excited than you are, but also a little jealous because she hid that behind something and she was going to go get it afterwards or whatever. But like she's an artist in her medium.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. So tell us too, because so you have and it's adult storytime publishing. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit more about that.
Well, I wanted to in line with creating my own Neverland as like the archetype of Peter Pan, finding that like eternal youth. I wanted to do it my way and skip the gatekeepers, skip finding a publisher to pick you up and do this. Like I just wanted to do it all myself. And I want to work with other people, and slowly but surely I am. But like, yeah, I just wanted to do this my way. So I started my own publishing company and just through an LLC, and I developed a website and built a makeshift recording studio in my bedroom. And I wrote, recorded, and produced and edited all the audiobooks myself. And now it's available on adultstorytime.net. I couldn't get a .com, uh, but hopefully that won't matter soon enough. But now it's subscription based, and so it's $1.99 a month or $12 a year. But other than the two series that I have out right now, which are about the length of a novella each, I'd say, I have 6 seasons of each coming, along with spin-off series, about 10 additional series that are in various levels of draft that I plan to unfurl over the next 5 years. Time will only tell how far I get with those, but again, something that came along the journey. Like if I hadn't been on this journey, I might have just written that novel and I've been out of stuff to write about.
Very,
But
yeah, it's amazing what unfolds. Well, I love
yeah,
that. If there's anybody out there listening who is interested in listening to your novels, because right now they're only available on audio version, is that right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And yeah, because they're really written to be heard, like just in a true storytelling fashion. But it's almost and of course they read well. It's not like a script or anything, but it's kind of like TV for your ears. They're like 30, 40-minute episodes, 5 episodes in each. And yeah, they're only available right now through adultstorytime.net. I have started doing a YouTube series of how to write a novel in 5 years, just to kind of help move that around, get the word out, and promote it. So each episode is about like 7 or 8 smaller stories. I'm just joining my love of music, so I call them tracks instead of chapters. So like uh, tr- I've been releasing a track every day, trying to like up my YouTube presence. Like I don't know much about it, and like I don't know much about anything I'm doing. I just figure it out as I go, and somehow here we are.
There you go.
But I've heard that you got to feed that algorithm every day to and it'll push it out further. So we'll see what happens with that. So in season 1, there's probably about 30 tracks. So my goal is to really push those out. So you can, if you're a YouTuber, then you can just go on to Adult Storytime 7 is what it's called on YouTube, and you can follow along from there. Appreciate the likes and subscribes there as well. But the math in my head, all I need is 4,000 subscribers to Adult Storytime, and I mean, I don't know how much people swear on this, but that's FU money to me. Like I can just live my life creating with all my bills paid, and I eventually want to get to the point of where I can live out some philanthropic goals as well. But I mean, baby steps, I guess. Yeah, I'd like for it to all just pop down once. Like this episode is going to reach 1 million people, and they're all just going to subscribe because you said so. But I mean, I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I would like that
Yeah.
too. Like that too. If you can make us both have that kind of money that we don't have to do our 9 to 5, we can just create, that would be amazing. We would appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you guys are out there and you're writing and you're interested in kind of seeing this journey unfold, go to your YouTube channel, and we're going to have those links in the show notes too, so people can go directly there if you're interested in also subscribing, so that you can listen to this whole series, which sounds so fascinating. And I love the concept behind this. Then you can go there and do that too. So we're going to have all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here with us today, John.
Oh, thank you for having me, Melissa. It was so good to see you again.
Yes, it's good to see you again too. It's so interesting when you have a connection with someone because of the writing, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a writer too. So that's always a fun thing to.
Yeah. I mean, that was a very refusal to the call moment. That was definitely a time that I wasn't writing at Hollywood Beach, Florida, but it was it was my good friend Eddie's bachelor party that we were down there for, and just about maybe a month or so before I moved down to Santa Fe, and I really got into the practice. So I'm glad to have met you then, and time is divine, and it's always unfolding as it should. So thank you for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here. And I want to thank all of you for being here with us too. Don't forget, you can check the show notes if you'd like to check out any of the things we talked about from today's episode. Also, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. Those reviews actually help my podcast reach even more people, which helps me in my mission to help as many people heal as possible. As always, share the episodes out if you think it might benefit someone. And you can join us on Patreon. I have extra episodes of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness there, and I also post videos from the interviews that I do with my guests. Plus, we have a live card reading each week through Zoom, and it's just a lot of fun and a great and supportive atmosphere. We'd love to have you there. You can sign up for free, and you have a 7-day free trial. If you love it, you can stay with us. If not, no big deal. There's no hassle, no worries, no obligations. You can join at any time, or you can end your subscription at any time. As always, I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.